Good Tuesday afternoon, everyone. Welcome to GardenStateWeather.com, GardenStateWeather.blogspot.com, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube providing premium meteorology for the northern mid-Atlantic 24 hours a day. This is a very special day on the 12th of this beautiful, bright Tuesday, breezy conditions, Tuesday the 12th of May 2020. I heard a loud sound just a few minutes before the broadcast here, and it was the New Jersey F-16 Fighting Falcons, the bombers from the 177th Fighter Wing, and the KC-135R Strato tanker from the 108th Wing at the Joint Base McGuire's Fort Dix Lakehurst Air Force Base. And they provided a flyover today over New Jersey on Tuesday to salute the frontline workers in the coronavirus pandemic. So if you heard them, if you heard big noises, in the sky, it was the big jet bombers. It reminds me of course, Judy reminds me of, what does it remind me of? Woodstock, actually, yeah. Reminds me of Woodstock and that beautiful song, and I'm going to play that again later. I have a live version, actually, from Ian Matthews doing that from Nights in Manhattan and Points West from many years ago. He covered, the very famous song Woodstock. And they did the flyover today across Seagirt, PNC Bank Arts Center, Millstone, New Jersey Convention Arts Center, Menlo Park, Keene University, University Hospital, the Expo Center, Bergen County College in Paramus. They also went back through Jefferson Cherry Hill Hospital, the U.S. Coast Guard Training Center, and the Atlantic City Convention Center, finishing up this afternoon. So during the last hour, I heard the big jet bombers flying over. Unfortunately, I just came in from being outside, so I didn't see them. But the noise was deafening. Truly was a perfect day for a flyover today under breezy northwest wind skies. Temperatures are in the upper 40s to low and mid 50s right now, which is below normal for this time of the year, even at 12:12 in the afternoon. But the air is very dry. The dew points right now, this hour, are in the single digits to the upper 20s, making the relative humidity just absolutely fabulous in the upper 20s to low and mid 40s in percentages. And the wind speeds, well, they're a little breezy out there today, out of the northwest at about 15, 20 miles per hour in spots, and of course a few wind gusts, again, into the 15 to 20 to 20 5 mile per hour range here. Visible satellite this afternoon. Lots of cold air, puffy cumulus clouds showing up across central and southern New Jersey and the Delmarva. Lots of clear skies over northern New Jersey. I'll be outside on my bike in just a little while after this broadcast. Yesterday we talked about the hail that was probable here in northern New Jersey and the New York City metropolitan area, and indeed we saw that actually happening. So, we did the reports on our blog site this morning, so we're not going to go over that again. This is a very interesting pattern here because we've got all this dry sinking air now in place here. Here comes another cold front through or upper disturbance coming through, but minoring out here. Got more cold fronts up and through here with a very cold air here across these areas in southeastern Canada. And of course, we've got showers and thunderstorms and lots of building up here across portions of Texas. Look at all this divergence and upper level diffluence here occurring over central and southern Texas late last night, early this morning. And a new storm system coming into the west coast. But again, plenty hot here in Florida, plenty hot here in Arizona, New Mexico, and also the Baja, and most areas here in Mexico and Southern California are hot and dry. National Composite Reflectivity Radar here. Still some precipitation here in northern Maine. Everything else is drying out here in the northern mid-Atlantic. Here is the next warm front, cold front culprit here. There's a lot of showers and thunderstorms making their way through Oklahoma, Arkansas with a warm front, and all of this is moving into Arkansas now, and there's some additional thunderstorm activity that's propagating in through central Texas this afternoon or this morning, depending on the time zone that you're in, and upglide precipitation with a new storm system getting going here over the Rockies and, of course, the western United States. Storm Prediction Center's mesoscale analysis. Here's our big storm from yesterday that pulled off the New Jersey coast with a lot of precipitation. We'll get into that in a moment. And the winds are brisk out of the west and northwest, basically the western areas this afternoon. So, temperature's going to get back up from where they are right now. They're a little chilly, and the wind chills make it feel like a little bit chilly out there this morning and early afternoon, but that should subside as this pulls away, and ridge of high pressure builds in across our forecast region for tonight and tomorrow morning. I'll probably have another frost or freeze warning again tonight. We'll take a look at that in just a moment. Meanwhile, here's the convection across the southern plains here, and the Tennessee and Mississippi River Valley area getting into that anyway. And here is another low here across the Rockies, and another storm system getting ready to hit into Washington and Oregon. And it's just lots of things going on. Upglide precipitation here in California. Let's see what else we want to talk about. Okay, checking in with our friends at the National Weather Service office in Mount Holly. Once again, we have freeze warnings here in Sussex, Carbon, Monroe counties, and all the counties here in the darker blue or purple if you prefer that color. Through northern and northeastern Pennsylvania. The rest of the area here in this beigey kind of orange color here, this is basically for chance of temperatures running below freezing. So some frost here in these areas here. And of course, another cold night is on the way with lighter winds and clear skies coming up. Okay, national weather hazards here across most of New York and northeastern Pennsylvania, down through central Pennsylvania, down through the spine of the Appalachians here into the Virginias, northwestern New Jersey, Sussex County, in for some freeze warnings. Now, last night's temperatures didn't fall that far back here below freezing in northwestern New Jersey, but tonight that is more likely than not. Again, this box showing up. And of course, over Maine, well, basically for today, we just have wind advisories as the storm system pulls away out here. Flooding still on the Mississippi all the way down into the Gulf regions. We have some red flag warnings here in Florida where it's very hot and dry. This is a tornado watch boxes here in central and southwestern Texas, and a tornado watch in effect too. We'll discuss that in a moment. And of course, across Colorado, we have basically red flag warnings here, red flag warnings in the southwestern and southeastern Nevada, northwestern New Mexico, and of course for today the wind advisories in California as well. Of course, the Storm Prediction Center is monitoring marginal risk of severe thunderstorms today across most of the central and southern plains here into Texas. National fire weather hazards, it's going to be elevated here in the areas of New Mexico and Colorado and New Mexico and Arizona and portions of Idaho and portions of Nevada as well. We do have a tornado watch box now for central southern Texas, which is in effect until a little while from now. And of course, the mesoscale discussion, they were saying that a couple of tornadoes are possible this morning across these areas here in central and southern Texas. And at 12:30 here on the East Coast, temperatures are in the low to mid-50s across the northern mid-Atlantic here, our forecasting zones. We're back into the 60s, 70s, and 80s across the southeast and all of Texas, and already rising through most of Mexico either this morning, and that is about 3 hours time difference here. So it's about, 8 a.m., 9 a.m.? Across this area here, so these temperatures are rising, and across this desert southwest where fire hazard weather is in for this afternoon as well. And the temperature changes here. It's cooled down a little bit here in the northern mid-Atlantic. It's about neutral here in Florida, and it's warmed across these portions, cooled down just a little bit with the ongoing rain across the Intermountain West and the West. But here, it's a different story. Climate Prediction Center's forecast going forward. This looks good. Finally, a change. The 17th through the 21st of May, warmer than normal temperatures in the east of the continental divide. Cooler weather is changing over now across these areas in the west where it was warm. And the 8 to 14-day temperatures look like this. Very warm in the eastern United States, especially the Virginia area, the just outside the I-95 corridor here. It's going to be very warm, coming up cooler than weather average here, cooler than average temperatures here across the just west of the Continental Divide into the West Coast. Now, these forecasts keep changing like every other day. So, it's marginally wet here in the east and southeast, but in southwest, central and southern Gulf regions here, drier than normal here where it's been, and much wetter than normal here. And that's a complete flip from where it was a couple of days ago. And from the 19th through the 25th of May, it looks like this now in terms of precipitation. Very dry here, normal here, very dry here, and that's because of all the dry, warm temperatures that are coming up in the 8 to 14 day period here, according to the latest model guidance switch-aroo. National high temperature trends over the next 7 days. Today, it's around 55, 60 degrees here in the northern mid-Atlantic, New Jersey, New York metropolitan area. That's below normal. We get to Tuesday. Well, we are at Tuesday. Let's get to Wednesday. Wednesday gets up a little bit higher into low and mid 60s, maybe upper 50s, Hudson River Valley area. Look at how warm it is in the south, and that continues. 80s, 90s. Mexico's not showing up, and the Baja's not showing up. They're going to be in the 90s and 100s again. And for the northern mid-Atlantic here on Thursday, we get back into the mid and upper 60s, very close to normal. We should be around 70, 72. Thursday, Friday, going to be a spectacular day. Everybody's going to be around 80 degrees and even higher in the metro areas like Trenton, Newark, Philadelphia. Yeah. And that trend continues back into the 70s as we head into Saturday. So good weather is coming up, but we have to dodge some rain showers and then cooler weather coming in for off the weekend, where we have to deal with a frontal boundary that's going to be stalled out across the region. So temperatures on Sunday could vary from the 60s to around 80, depending on where that warm front lies. And again, this is all preliminary. 70s to, 70s on Monday as well, May 18th. So, and look at how warm it is east of the Continental Divide. And, we're talking about temperatures baking now into the hundreds here as we get into Arizona and southeastern California. Yeah, it's going to be hot. And it's not showing up here, but temperatures are definitely going to be in the low 100s in this area here, including the Baja. Let's zone back in on today. Temperatures upper 50s to around 60. That's below normal. Definitely, we know that. Temperatures tomorrow getting closer to the low and mid 60s. By the time we get to Thursday, temperatures are warming into the upper 60s to around 70. This is the day on Friday. Temperatures 80, 82, 83 degrees, 84 degrees across the I-95 corridor. That looks good to me. Temperatures on Saturday again, mid and upper 70s to around 80 south and west. That is near to above normal. So we're definitely heading in the right direction. Next Sunday looks good. Temperatures in the upper 60s to around 80, depending on where that cold front is located, or the warm front, cold front, stationary front. Temperatures on Monday of next week into the upper 60s and mid and upper 70s, depending on where that frontal boundary lies. And I'm not even going to get into the allergies today because everybody's got them, and we already know that the pollen is in high dispersal from all of the trees and flowers outside. So, if you've got allergies, you know what to do. You should be taking honey, by the way. Yes, organic honey and local honey, but that will definitely help you not only sleep well or sleep better, but it's definitely going to help you in the allergy department. Let's take a look at the European model guidance going forward here. Here's the convection over Texas and Oklahoma. And lots of dry weather and high pressure and control across the eastern United States. The next chance of precipitation comes from this cold front that's going to drop down here probably during the day on Friday. So it's going to be very warm with high pressure off the coast at 1026 millibars. And we've got basically an easterly flow setting up across the region, but southwesterly flow around the high. So, temperatures on Friday are going to reach 80 degrees in many places, as just showed you. And that high is not really going to give way, and the cold front isn't really going to give way either that easily. And it's going to become stalled out, and over the weekend, here comes the next disturbance. And another cold front coming through or trying to make its way through. You know, low pressure in the Gulf too, you know, right off the Florida coast here. So that's going to be interesting to watch and see how this interaction plays out here. Got an interesting tropical season coming up too. So by the time we get to Monday, here comes the cold front. Here comes another area of high pressure building in across the eastern United States, and it dries us out. Lots of weather going on just about everywhere in Texas and the Central Plains and High Rockies here right through the forecast period. So, you know, it's going to be wet in certain areas where it's already been wet, and other areas are going to finally dry out for a change. Upper level 500 millibar height anomalies here. It's been very cold here in the northeast and southern Canada, southeastern Canada, but the ridge is building in for later this weekend with the zonal flow coming in. Things are going to change again. The ridge builds into the eastern United States. A couple of troughs in both the polar and southern jet streams here. They kind of minor out. So it looks like, you know, next week is going to be okay. The ridge building and across the eastern United States on May 20th. And look at that heat ridge here building in. Here's that disturbance off the Florida coast, which becomes an upper level low and closed off here by the time well out into the Atlantic Ocean by the time we get to Wednesday. But this is the start of, you know, the season where we could be developing, you know, tropical waves eventually. I mean, hurricane season doesn't start until like June 1st. That doesn't mean that we haven't seen tropical storms or subtropical storms, for that matter, prior to this. So, you know, but look at the heat ridge and look at the cold air over the Rockies here. It pumps up the ridge here. So warm temperatures are on the way. 500 millibar heights are on the way. And look at the storm out here in the Atlantic. Has nowhere to go because it's being blocked. Very interesting start of a season here. And by the time we get to May 22nd, which is Friday, lots of upper level lows changing the pattern here in the polar stream across the Intermountain West here, and lots of ridging in the east. Very interesting times going forward. Like we're, you know, and we're definitely already in them to begin with. A couple of final notes here. We'll use the U.S. Version of the NAM 3-kilometer model from this morning. Here's the convection over Texas and the Arklatex region here. Notice all the dry, clear air here in place across the northern mid-Atlantic. Some of that moisture and cold air advection spilling in tonight. Some cumulus clouds this afternoon, drying out. And then, you know, here comes that storm system that was over that area, and all that warm air trying to build over the top here as we get into Thursday and Friday. Look, it's going to be delightful with southwesterly flow. And here comes the next frontal boundary. You can see the convection moving from the southern plains here in one branch and the polar jet in the other branch, bringing a warm front through the area. More cloud cover by Thursday afternoon and Friday, definitely over the New Jersey, New York City metropolitan area. And again, spokes of, you know, this is going to be juicy, because when we look at this is a large area of convection here, a large area of convection here forming here, and a more storminess coming into the west coast. And look at it, this is the IR infrared satellite imagery or simulated brightness. And again, we went over the precipitable water doesn't really look that great here. It's very big. It's very large over the south and the southern plains here. Notice all this dry sinking air in place across the northern mid-Atlantic, and that eventually gives way as we get into Thursday afternoon, Thursday night. That's when the moisture increases ahead of all of this going on here. High pressure off the coast, a return southwesterly flow, and warm fronts and cold fronts. Upper level divergence and diffluence working through the area. Notice how dry it is back in the west now. And that will continue at least through Friday. And then the pattern begins to flip. Well, that's going to do it for the afternoon edition here. We are Stardust. We are golden. And we've got to get ourselves back into the garden. Yeah, that's Woodstock to Joni Mitchell. Be listening to a lot of that today. And thank you for all the jet bombers that came through late this morning, early this afternoon over our skyline here in northern New Jersey and southern New Jersey to salute the frontline workers in the coronavirus pandemic. I'm meteorologist Robert Smith for Everything Live. It's GardenStateWeather.com, GardenStateWeather.blogspot.com, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Enjoy the afternoon, folks. We'll be back this evening.